The Guest in Room 407. The Redwood Grand Hotel in Northern California had been standing for almost 80 years. Once, it was a luxurious destination for travelers driving along the old highway. But over time, people stopped coming. By 2022, only a few rooms were ever booked. Most of the hotel stayed dark at night. That didn't bother Daniel Cart. Daniel had just started working there as the night receptionist. The job sounded perfect. Quiet nights, easy work, good pay. But on his very first night, the manager gave him one strange rule. If anyone asks for room 407, tell them it's unavailable. Always. No exceptions. Daniel frowned. Why? The manager paused for a moment, then simply said, "Just trust me." It was around 2:10 a.m. when the hotel phone rang. Daniel picked it up. "Redwood Grand Hotel, how may I help you?" A man's voice spoke softly on the other end. "I'd like to book a room." Daniel checked the system. "Of course, sir, we have several available rooms tonight." The man paused, then said, "I want room 407. Daniel's fingers froze above the keyboard. The manager's warning echoed in his mind. "I'm sorry, sir, that room is unavailable." Silence. Then the man spoke again, but his voice sounded different, colder, almost annoyed. "But that's my room." Daniel forced a nervous laugh. "Sir, maybe you stayed here before, but that room is currently closed." Another long silence. Then the line suddenly went dead. Daniel shrugged and continued working. But about 5 minutes later, the front door slowly opened. A tall man walked in. He wore an old black coat soaked from the rain. His face looked pale under the dim lobby lights. "I called earlier." Daniel immediately recognized the voice. It was the same man from the phone. "Welcome, sir. How can I help you?" The man slowly stepped toward the counter. His eyes never blinked. "I told you, I want room 407. Daniel felt uncomfortable now. "Sir, that room is not available." The man leaned closer and whispered quietly, "So you're going to make me wait again?" A cold chill ran down his spine. "What do you mean?" The man slowly smiled, but the smile looked wrong, empty. "I waited long enough last time." Then suddenly, all the lobby lights flickered. The man turned toward the elevator. Without saying another word, he stepped inside. The elevator doors closed. Daniel looked at the elevator panel. The light moved upward. 2nd floor, 3rd floor, 4th floor, and then stopped, right at room 407. Daniel's stomach twisted. "That's impossible." He grabbed the master key and ran upstairs. Footsteps in a quiet hallway. The 4th floor hallway was dark. Only a few emergency lights glowed faintly. Daniel walked slowly toward the end of the corridor. Room 401, room 403, room 405, and finally, room 407. The door was slightly open. Daniel took a deep breath and pushed it open. The room was freezing cold. Dust covered everything. Furniture was broken. It clearly hadn't been used for years. "Hello?" No answer. Then suddenly, the bathroom light flickered on. Daniel stepped closer. Inside the bathroom, the mirror had something written on it. 3 words. "He came back." Daniel stepped back in fear. Then he heard a voice behind him, the same man's voice. "I told you, it's my room." Daniel slowly turned around. The man stood in the corner of the room, but now he looked different. His face was pale gray. Dark bruises covered his neck, like someone had strangled him. Daniel's voice shook. "Who are you?" The man's smile slowly faded, and his eyes filled with anger. "4 years ago, I and my wife stayed here." Daniel's heart pounded. The man continued speaking. "We argued that night, loud enough for the whole hotel to hear. The room suddenly grew colder. Then the man whispered the words slowly. I killed her. Daniel felt frozen in place. But when I realized what I'd done, the man pointed toward the ceiling fan. I hung myself, right here. The light above them flickered violently, and now this room belongs to me. Suddenly, the bathroom door slammed shut. The mirror shattered. Wind rushed through the room even though the windows were closed. Daniel ran toward the door, but it slammed shut in front of him, locked. The man stepped closer. His body moved unnaturally, like something broken. You tried to stop me from coming back. His voice distorted. But this is my home. Then another voice suddenly echoed through the room. A woman's voice. Soft. Sad. No, it isn't. A ghostly figure slowly appeared near the window. A woman with long, dark hair, her eyes filled with tears. The man turned toward her, his face twisted with rage. You should still be dead. The woman looked at Daniel and whispered, Run. The door suddenly unlocked. Daniel didn't wait. He ran into the hallway as fast as he could. Behind him, terrible screams filled the room. The man yelling, the woman crying, furniture breaking. Then suddenly, silence. Complete silence. Daniel slowly turned back. Room 407's door was closed again, perfectly still. The next morning, the manager arrived early. Daniel told him everything, every detail. The manager didn't look surprised. He just sighed and said quietly, I was afraid this would happen. Daniel asked one final question. Who were they? The manager looked toward the staircase leading upstairs, then said softly, the last guests who ever stayed in room 407. Daniel immediately quit his job that day, but sometimes, late at night, he still remembers one strange thing. When he ran from the hallway, he glanced back once and saw something standing behind the door window of room 407. A tall man, watching him leave, waiting for the next guest.
Shift. The Silver Pines Hotel stood alone on the edge of a quiet highway in Colorado. Surrounded by tall pine trees and endless mountains, it was once a popular stop for travelers. But after several strange incidents, people stopped coming. By 2023, the hotel was barely open. Only a few guests stayed there each week, and almost no one wanted to work the night shift. Except for Ethan Brooks. Ethan was 24 years old and needed the money. When the manager offered him the job of night manager, he didn't hesitate. The manager gave him only 3 rules. 3 simple rules. Manager, serious tone. Rule 1. After midnight, no guest is allowed on the 5th floor. Rule 2. If someone calls the front desk from room 512, do not answer. Rule 3. The manager paused. If you ever see someone standing in the lobby after 3 a.m., do not speak to them. Ethan laughed nervously. Is this some kind of joke? The manager didn't smile. Just follow the rules. Clock ticking sound. Ethan's first few nights were quiet, almost boring. Most guests stayed asleep. He watched movies on his laptop, drank coffee, answered occasional phone calls. Nothing strange happened. Until his 4th night. At 2:58 a.m., the lobby lights flickered. Ethan looked up from his desk. The hotel suddenly felt colder. Then the elevator dinged. The door slowly opened. No one stepped out. Ethan frowned. Probably a glitch. Then he noticed something strange. The elevator panel showed floor 5, but he remembered something clearly. There were no guests staying on the 5th floor tonight. Ethan grabbed the hotel tablet and checked the room list. 4th floor, 3 guests. 3rd floor, 2 guests. fifth floor, empty. Completely empty. Then the phone rang. Ethan jumped slightly. He picked it up. Hello? Silver Pines Hotel, how may I? He stopped speaking. The caller ID displayed room 512. Ethan stared at the phone. Rule number 2, do not answer. But he already had. Slow breathing came through the phone. Then a quiet voice whispered, Hello? Ethan hesitated. Hello? Who is this? The voice sounded relieved. Oh, thank God. Someone answered. Please help me. Ethan's chest tightened. Are you in room 512? Yes. Something's wrong here. What do you mean? The voice lowered to a whisper. I think someone is in the room with me. Ethan felt his stomach drop. But I checked the system. No one is staying in that room. Silence. Then the voice spoke again. But I never checked in. The line suddenly filled with static. Then another voice appeared. A deep, cold voice. Right beside the caller. Second voice. He wasn't supposed to answer. The call abruptly ended. Ethan slowly lowered the phone, his heart pounding. Then he remembered the manager's first rule. No guests allowed on the 5th floor after midnight. Something was definitely wrong. Ethan grabbed the master key and walked toward the elevator. Elevator humming sound. The elevator slowly climbed upward. 3rd floor, 4th floor. Then it stopped. 5th floor. The doors opened. The hallway was completely dark. Only one light flickered at the far end. Room 512. Ethan stepped out carefully. The air felt cold and heavy. He walked slowly down the hallway. Room 506, room 508, room 510, then finally, room 512. The door was slightly open. Ethan knocked gently. Hello? Hotel staff? No answer. He pushed the door open. The room looked old. Dust covered the furniture, like it hadn't been used in years. Then Ethan noticed something terrifying. There were scratch marks all over the walls, deep claw marks, like someone had tried desperately to escape. Suddenly, the bathroom door slammed shut. Ethan jumped. Then he heard breathing. Someone was inside. He slowly walked toward the bathroom. Hello? The door creaked open by itself. Inside the mirror, words were written in red. He is still here. Ethan stepped backward. Then he heard a voice behind him. Welcome back. Ethan turned around slowly. A man stood near the bed. Tall, thin. His face looked pale and twisted. Who are you? The man smiled slowly. I used to manage this hotel. Ethan's heart began racing. What happened to you? The man pointed toward the walls. 10 years ago, a guest went missing. Then another. Then another. The man's smile widened. They blamed me. Ethan whispered, Did you do it? The man laughed softly. No. Then he pointed toward the dark corner of the room. That thing did it. Ethan slowly turned. At first, he saw nothing. Then something moved. A tall, black shape slowly crawled out of the shadows. Its limbs bent in unnatural directions. Its eyes glowed faintly in the darkness. Ethan felt his legs shaking. What is that? The former manager whispered quietly. It lives in empty rooms, and every night it waits for someone to answer the phone. The creature suddenly turned its head toward Ethan. Its mouth slowly stretched into a horrible grin. Then it spoke in a broken whisper. You answered. The lights exploded, the windows shattered, the creature rushed forward. Ethan ran toward the door, but before he escaped, he heard the former manager whisper one last sentence. "Now you understand the rules." The next morning, hotel staff found the front desk empty. Ethan was gone, completely vanished. But something strange happened later that night. At 2:58 a.m., the phone rang at the front desk. The caller ID displayed room 512. The new night employee answered carefully. "Hello?" A terrified voice whispered through the phone. "Please help me. I think someone is in my room." Then another voice spoke behind it, a voice that sounded exactly like Ethan. Cold and hungry. He answered too.